in recurrent expenditure, which has been brought about by the massive recruitment that the governors have been doing. I think they mistook as one of the functions of the county government was to employ. Maybe they mistook that to be one of the functions, because they are doing too much employment by the book without putting regard into the fact that those county governments inherited what was the local government structures, the municipal, the county. Those people are the employees who are actually, most of them are capable of being able to do the duties that are being advertised. And also the national government has seconded some employees there. But you see, most of the time the governors normally prefer to employ new ones who are maybe the political affiliation that can serve their interests. And that is actually having a lot of weight on the resources that are available to do development. At the moment, the Constitution talks about minimum of 30% of the budget being used for development. Of course, we expect that the interpretation is that the governors will raise that up on their own. But since it's not happening, that is why currently the Senate, the senators are discussing a bill that they want to bring to the floor of the House, which they will lift that from 30% to a mandatory 60 or 70%, so that the recurrent expenditure is minimal and most of the resources goes to development. And I think that is what is going to make that real fast change that you want to see.
If I may add on to that, you find like the reason why we are not, I'm sure you have not seen any much development for the last 1 year. One of the reasons is we are collecting around 800 billion shillings per annum. And if you look at the amount of money we are spending on recurrent expenditure, we are doing in excess of 50%. For any economy to be able to expand, we must be able to invest at least 70% of our revenues in development. And I fully support that bill of 70-30 that has been suggested in the Senate, because unless we try to contain and to operate at those levels of 70-30, both at national and county government, I don't think we'll be able to invest much. If I may quote even what the managing director of IMF said the other day, one of the threats that we have between us as a country and Vision 2030 achievement is devolved units, because we need also not to be careful, not to duplicate functions between the county and the national government to be able to contain that recurrent expenditure. If you do a quick mathematics and do 800 billion minus the 210 that we have sent into the counties, we are left around 600 minus the international debt obligations and domestic, we do another 300 billion shillings. You realize the reason why we are not able to do much in terms of development. So I think it's very urgent that as a country we make decisions like are these, and I'm sure my brother here would think that I'm becoming very radical, but I think it's a discussion we need to look at. Having had the Constitution, having gone through the implementation of this devolved system, we need to look back and say, look, where are we? Are we achieving the intended purpose of having a devolved system? Are we compromising on our national and maybe Vision 2030? Are we on the right track? And I think it's a discussion we need to start. And I like what has been coming from the National Assembly. And people are saying, are we on the right track? Do we have so many county units? Are they viable to have 47 governments across the country? Are we having so many members of parliament? Because again, if you're looking at our country with around 349 members of parliament, 67 senators, that would mean we are a population of 40 million Kenyans. We are overrepresented. Yeah, if you look at countries like India with 1.2 billion people with 500 members of parliament, If you look at America, America, with 300 million people, we have the same number of members of parliament. And I think those are decisions we need to make as a country. And I'm sure most of the politicians will shy away from these decisions because it's highly political. But we need to ask ourselves, can we afford to have 2 chambers? Can we afford to have a Senate? Can we afford to have 47 units? Can we afford to have executive, county executive members who are 10, who are being paid in excess of maybe 400,000 shillings times 10, that's 470 members across the country.
So are you trying to say perhaps we need to rethink, perhaps abolish some part of it, like the debate that went, perhaps the Senate does not need to exist?
And I'm suggesting we also start from members of parliament. Are we overrepresented? Is it compromising on our national agenda of Vision 2030? Are we able to invest as much as possible in development as compared to recurrent? Because these are the decisions we need to make as a country.
All right. Yeah. What do you think, Honourable Mudhambe?
Very interesting.
We need to rethink.
I think I would take a different route, because at the moment it seems to be that there's a problem in the availability of resources getting to the Mwananchi. And I think we are looking at where could this resource be getting lost. And from a layman's point of view, they say we have a lot of representation, over-representation, like Dennis is putting it. But really, it is not possible for us to imagine that we can operate the county governments, the 47 counties, without having the role that the senators are playing at the moment in oversighting the county government. Because I believe the Senate plays a totally different role from what the national government is doing. Because if you look at the bills that we just talked about, even though they'll come to the National Assembly, they're directly from the Senate, and they are on making sure that the spending or the expenditure at the county government is regularized. What we need to do is to ensure that we close the taps all the way from the county level to the national level, where we are losing resources fast. And if we are not able to achieve change, then we can go back now and think, are we having too much workforce in the National Assembly and the Senate, so that we can start thinking about over-representation. Again, when you go back to the county level and the employment, there's some of those positions that are absolutely unnecessary. Then I saw the other day that in some counties, some county reps up to more than 1 PA. You find that the governor has in his office a personal assistant, he has a legal advisor, and so many other positions that may be unnecessary. If we can be able to cut down on that fast, and then we see whether to trickle to manage, then we can later look at, is it really necessary to have the 290 and the 47 senators? Because at the moment they are not doing the same role. I want to disagree. We do not duplicate roles as per se, and I don't think the constitution that was promulgated in 2010 did and overlooked this.
The issue is, can we afford these structures or not? It's like telling me you want to buy a Mercedes, but you can't afford. You can only afford a Toyota. And can we be able to support these kind of structures? And that is why you find, like today, the cost of living is going up, because there's nothing for free.